I'm gonna put my tooth in so I sound different.
Hey, Mark, how you doing today?
James, okay. How are you?
Good, good. What did you want to talk about today?
Uh, I don't know, man. I got a lot going on, and I kind of like when I called you to schedule this meeting. I had something really bothering me, and then since then. There's been a whole another ongoing thing that's really bothering me. So, um, I think I've told you before, I have two kids,
Yeah.
older, 23 and 21. So, um, they have like this thing where they pretend like they're, as my daughter says, grown ass woman. I'm a grown ass woman and you can't tell me what to do. But then as soon as something happens, the first person they call is me. Um, and I'm kind of okay with that, but like my older daughter, I'm really not as worried about. She's on her own now, but she's had a few issues lately. Like she's had some car problems that I've had to get involved with. Um, she's kind of really not nice to me and my wife a lot. And my wife is always like, don't help her. Don't help her. She wants to pretend like she's on her own and she can just be on her own. But then she'll call me and like, I'll help her, but not tell my wife. So like, she kind of busted up the front end of her car and she called me and I called my mechanic and he told me where I could go get it fixed at a good price where I wouldn't get ripped off. And I kind of set it up for her and met her over there and took care of it. And I didn't tell my wife. And then yesterday she had a flat tire and she called me. And of course I helped her out with it. I ended up driving down there and changing it for her. But I didn't tell my wife because my wife would be pissed at me. So, I don't know. There's a little bit of dynamic there between my kids and my wife. So I have a whole nother issue with my younger daughter. She's gotten back into this thing where she's in school, she barely has a job, and she thinks she lives with us, but she's not really doing anything. She's not getting out of bed. She's not doing her homework. She's calling out sick from work. Like, we have 3 dogs and I'll leave at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'll run back over there 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and she's still in bed and the dogs haven't been outside since I left. And I'm just like, you've got to help out a little bit. You've got to do stuff around here. You can't just lay in bed. And it's, I don't know, it's like, it's a big problem for me because to be honest with you, it's depressing as shit. I think that's what it boils down to. It makes me feel like shit. I'll be having a halfway decent day and I'll go home and, she'll be hiding in her room. And then I'll knock on the door and I'll be like, what are you doing? And, well, oh, leave me alone. I got everything under control. You don't need to tell me what to do. But it's like, I do need to tell her what to do or it doesn't get done.
Right. Right.
So I guess I'm just frustrated with my kids, frustrated with kind of my wife. And I don't know, man. Like I said, it's all the COVID stuff and all the, my job, I'm not making really any money. I have a lot going on, and then like I constantly try to stay positive. I'm like every morning I'm like stay positive, find the good in everything, find the good in everything. And then I'll be finding the good, and then I'll go home at 1:30 in the afternoon, and the fucking dogs are sitting there, cross-legged on the floor because they gotta shit themselves.
Right.
So they're laying in bed hiding under the covers.
Right.
And I get pissed,
Yeah.
and then I yell, and I probably say things I shouldn't say, and then I leave, and I'm just like dejected for the rest of the day, So
do you feel like you're walking on thin ice with maybe a trust issue with your wife, with bailing out the older daughter?
yeah, that sums it up. I didn't look at it like that, but you're right, it is. I feel dirty, kind of.
Right.
Hiding something from her. That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind. Yeah. I mean, how do you think you could go about that differently, short of telling her?
Yeah, I mean, I should probably just tell her, I don't think there's any way around that, but maybe wait for the right time. The
Right.
problem is my older daughter, I don't know where she got this from. She's got a lot of my qualities in her. She's kind of aggressive and kind of, type A, I guess. But she's really high on herself. I don't know where she got that from. Like she thinks she's really special, and I don't know whether that's because it's her or whether that's the normal 23-year-old nowadays. But I also think in her case, so before I say that, she's difficult to deal with sometimes because she has this aura about herself that she's the coolest 23-year-old woman out there, and she's successful and she has a good job, and I can't tell her what to do. So she comes off as kind of a jackass a lot, and she's really not nice to my wife and I a lot lately. But I think that it's because deep down she's insecure, and I think ever since she was a little kid, she's been insecure. So I think it's kind of a cover up for the way she really is. So that's why I kind of let her get away with it a little bit, if you know what I mean. Because I think there's some deeper issues there maybe. But like my wife won't put up with it, My wife literally was like, she's going to be an asshole, then don't help her. Don't help her. But I think back to what you said probably makes a lot of sense. I probably should come clean, and I think it would probably make me feel better. I think that's something I need to figure out, how to approach her with that.
Yeah, there seems to be like you said before, there seems to be a different dynamic between you and your daughter as opposed to your wife and your daughter, and especially with you bailing her out, where your wife just wants to kind of leave her twisting in the wind. So, I mean, what do you want to happen with that situation? What direction do you think it should go in?
I mean, like, honesty is the best policy. I've always said that, because then when everything's out in the open and honest, then there's nothing to worry about. Everybody knows the truth. You know what I mean? Another part of that equation I didn't mention is she really hurt her ankle badly a week and a half ago. I mean, like, she called me on a Saturday night at 9:30 the week before last, and she thought she broke her ankle. And she sent me a picture, and it looked really bad. And I've seen a lot of ankle injuries, and I've had a lot of ankle injuries. And so she used to play soccer and lacrosse. So what I didn't mention to my wife is that she was shit-faced when she did it.
Right.
And I knew she was. Because my other daughter had told me Friday when I said, if you talk to Caroline this weekend, yeah, I talked to her. She said she's going to party her ass off all weekend. I'm like, oh, that's great. 24 hours later, I get a phone call. I think I broke my ankle. So, that was an alcohol-induced injury, of which my wife's not naive, but my daughter and I never really shared that with her either. So that's another thing that I feel like I need to come clean about. You know what I mean?
Sure. Seems like these things are a little bit of a burden for you.
Relieved if I just come clean.
Exactly. It seems like you already know the answer, and it's definitely a burden for you. And then, with your younger daughter, never knowing what you're going to walk into when you go home. Ultimately, where do you see her in, a year from now? This can't necessarily continue.
No, I mean, that's the question. That's part of the problem. Like, my wife said something this morning because she was up, I heard my wife talking to her at 4:30 this morning, and I'm like, I said to my wife, what the hell was that all about? She's like, she was awake all night, and she's like, I'm tired of being a parent, like they're still 14 years old. But, my younger daughter's got some problems, I mean? She's diagnosed, with generalized anxiety disorder, and probably more than that. She's been getting therapy since she was in the 4th grade. I spent more money on her in therapy than I did in my daughter's college tuition at University of Delaware for 4 years. So maybe not more, but close. My point is, the kid's been in therapy now since she was, I don't even know what 4th grade is, 10?
Right.
11 of her 21 years she's been seeing in counseling. So she's got issues. And I understand that. But she's very intelligent, extremely intelligent, but she doesn't apply herself. And I feel like sometimes her mental health issues are used as an excuse to not apply herself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's another fine line there, because you don't ever want to accuse somebody that legitimately has a problem of using that problem as an excuse, because that could backfire times 10,
Right.
So it's a delicate situation. Where do I see her a year from now? I know where we hope. We hope that she'll be a student at Towson University, and which is her plan too. And we hope that she'll be, living with roommates, like a 22-year-old college student, off campus, going to school, working a part-time job. I mean, that's what we hope. Now, I mean, literally, it's a coin toss to whether I think that's reality or not. It could go either way.
Bottom line is, you don't want to say 6, 8 years from now, you still don't want to have to be getting your younger daughter out of bed and bailing out your older daughter out of, all of these scrapes that come up. And guess you just want them to be able to fend for themselves. Sounds like you're doing everything that as a parent, that you're doing everything right. Seems like you're completely engaged with them, and that you always have been. I mean, ultimately, you're the expert.
Yeah, I've been engaged with my kids the whole time. I just like, here's the issue. When my younger daughter, when she first started having problems, and she used to refuse to go to school. Never heard of it, never thought it was a thing, but it's an actual, like, psychological diagnosis. I think there's even a name for it. Well, the way I grew up, if I didn't want to get out of bed and do something, my old man would either come in there and rip me out of bed, or he'd go a gallon of ice water and he'd throw it in my fucking bed. So I didn't want to lay down there anymore anyway. I mean, I tried those tactics on her when she was younger.
How'd that work out?
I was like, get out of bed. What the hell do you mean? You got to go to school. Get out of bed, go to school. Like, and then after I realized, with the help of my wife, that it's more than that. Me being a parent, and bullying her out of bed isn't going to work. Like, there's a deeper issue than that. So the reason I mention that story is because now, fast forward to days like recently, when I go home, and like I said, the dogs are whimpering because they got to go to the can, and she's hiding under a blanket in her room, the first thing I feel like saying is, get the fuck out of bed. What are you doing? Like, you got to at least let the dogs out. And I actually did say that. And like, I think that is a lot of the reasons why I get upset and I get depressed after I leave there, because I know that's wrong. I know that's really not helpful. I mean, just like me yelling, get out of bed, or throwing ice water on her bed when she was in 4th grade. Me coming home at 1 o'clock in the afternoon going, what in the fuck are you doing? You've got to get out of bed. That's not gonna solve any problems, I don't think. You know what I mean? So then I kind of get down on myself. I get down on myself because of the situation, and then I get down on myself because of the way I handle the situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What did you do differently when she was younger and she displayed the same kind of behavior?
I tried to be a lot more patient and a lot more understanding, but sometimes I just run out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's gotten older and the clock is ticking.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, I feel like we have times, and her whole life has been like a roller coaster. And things will start to go good. Things will go good. Things will go good. Things will go good. She's in a great mood. She's going to school. She's always had a lot of friends, which is a good thing. She's had the same friends now since she was a little kid. They're still friendly. She still sees them. Because she's a likable person. She's funny. She's around. So things will be going good. And then all of a sudden something will happen. And the bottom will fall out. Then we'll be like, here we go again. I mean, she's self-harmed herself. She's marked herself with knives. I've been to the emergency room with her. She's been 2 times at Shepherd Pratt. Those are the when I say roller coaster, those are the low points. And it's been good there. They've helped her, and she's come out of that. And so I don't know I guess what I'm saying is these swings, these roller coaster rides, they just wear the shit out of you as a parent.
Yeah. Has your older daughter gone through anything like this?
No, she hasn't. No. And I also think some of her attitude sometimes has something to do with her sister too. Because, you know, she knows all about the challenges her sister's had. And I think that's affected her. I mean, look, when you're 17 or when you're 16 and your 14-year-old sisters in Shepherd Pratt,
Yeah.
in school, how do you think that feels as a 16-year-old?
Yeah.
When your friends are like, oh, your sister's in Shepherd Pratt, you know,
Right.
like
As a stigma.
without
Yeah.
question, that's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's had to deal with it too, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't know if we're on like if we're on one of those roller coaster rides that are going down right now.
Right. You haven't hit bottom yet.
I have a feeling maybe we are, but it's touch and go, you know. I'll know more literally in the next 3 or 4 days. It's either going to get better or it's going to get worse. So, maybe, you know, I think maybe that's my frustration too. Maybe that's my suppression when I leave there in the afternoon.
And
Here we go again.
and this is all coupled with having a new home built and uncertainty with your job. So that's got to have you stressed out a little bit.
It does, yeah, yeah. The job stresses me out, but I feel like, I mean, a couple people got let go last week. I feel pretty confident I'm in a strong position not to be let go. So I think I'll stay employed, but I'm 100% commission. So I'm not making hardly any money right now.
Right.
But I'm making just enough that I'm valuable, and that I'm not vulnerable to being cut.
Right.
Knock on wood. But probably 50% down in earnings. My 2020 will probably be half of my 2019 in income. So, I mean, that's a bite in the ass.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing about that is it's like I can't control it. So that's why, like I was saying earlier, I like literally repeat to myself multiple times a day, like stay positive, find the good in everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It sounds like that's
And my mantra
really
is
good
that
philosophy.
if I can't control it, then I'm not going to let it bother me.
Right.
You know, I feel like I should be able to control the situation with my children a little better. And I know I can control the situation with being a little not truthful with my wife and my older daughter. But as far as like the economy opening back up and people spending money, I mean, that's way above my controllability right now, and everybody else, you know.
Well, how do you think you can control your kids?
I can't control my kids. I can control the way that I react around them, you know.
Sure.
Because no, I can't control them. And look, I don't want to control my kids at their age. I shouldn't be controlling my kids.
Right.
I can advise them and I can guide them and be careful about the way I handle myself around them. And that's about it.
It's definitely taking its toll on you, though, you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I have this, like, I've always had this thing, like, you know, punch me in the face and I'm good, you know. I can take a punch. I'll get back up. I'll either get back up swinging. I'll just get up, back up and keep moving forward, you know.
Right.
I think that goes back to doing athletics my whole life and playing high school football and lacrosse and playing college lacrosse. I mean, you get the shit kicked out of you and you keep on coming back for more, you know. And I
Right.
have mentality, so that's the way I that's try to stay positive. Like, if everything's going to be okay, we just got to keep moving forward, you know. But I mean, it's hard not to get depressed, you know, when you take too many hits. You know what I mean? And the thing with my younger daughter, it's been a lot of hits. You know, it's been a lot of hits. It's been a lot of punches in the face. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get punch drunk from it. You know.
Yeah, that's why I brought up the scenario, this, you know, possibly being a factor, you know, six years from now. Be nice.
Yeah. So you mentioned us building a house. So we are building a house, and we're gonna have. It's a 3-bedroom house, so we're gonna have 2 guest rooms. Well, one of those rooms, my wife and I, during this whole process from the very beginning, are like that will be the room that if she moves back in with us, she'll live in. Like, it's already in the back of our heads that she may be living with us again at some point. So
How do you feel about that?
you know, I mean, I'm okay with it if that's what has to happen. I mean, I don't want it to happen.
Right.
I mean, when she's okay, she's, like I said, she's not a problem to be around. She's not a problem to have around the house. I mean, she's a good kid to have around, you know. So it's not that, you know, it is what it is too. And I don't, if she's 25 years old and she gets into a situation where she needs to live with her parents, it is what it is. I'm not, you know, I'm going to accept it and do the best I can. I mean, and my wife and I have already talked about that, and we're already, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but we won't be shocked, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's good you got your heads together on that, and that's not going to be you know, subject of contention between the two of you, with your daughter possibly having to stay at home longer. So I guess yeah, just it seems like it's good to have a plan with that. I think it could be a reality that she's going to be at home for a while. And like you said, you might not have hit bottom yet.
Yeah.
So sounds like you guys are on the same page with your younger daughter, but you're a little bit divided on your older daughter as far as how you should go about dealing with her.
Yeah, I think I'll probably with my wife maybe today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't think it's going to be that big of a. She'll be pissed for a little bit, but it's not, you know.
Yeah, well, you're just, you know, it seems like you guys are doing a good job of working together with your younger daughter, and you're just kind of this Lone Ranger thing with your older daughter might wind up biting you in the ass. So.
Well, I mean, hopefully we're moving in January or February too, so I could just lay low, and then she'll really be on her own because I won't be 20 minutes away anymore.
Right. Right. Yeah, that may change the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Distance, but yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, maybe when we get together again in 2 weeks, we can see how you've if anything's changed with your younger daughter as far as her behavior, if it's if she's gotten worse, if she's going down on that roller coaster still, and see if you've been able to maybe come to an agreement on how to deal with your older daughter, and maybe it just won't be as much of a burden for you and won't have to stress you out so much. And yeah. So
All right, that sounds good.
yep. So why don't we try that? And
All right.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, thanks, Jim.
All right, Mark. Take it easy.